So let just go into prayer and let Spirit move us, because I know that Spirit is all there is on this beautiful November morning and each and every morning, each and hour, every hour of every day. Spirit is all there is. Each place that we seek, it is there, because it is always, always present. And it is present within each one of us as we move through our days, being the expression of that Spirit here on earth, bringing all of the love, the compassion, the peace, the joy, all of the wisdom and intelligence that Spirit is, we are. And we bring that to each and every breath and each and every action, each and every step that we take. I am so grateful for this time together, for each heart and each hand who has joined this service, and each heart and each hand who has paved the way for this service to take place, for this gathering of hearts, this gathering of minds, this gathering of souls, coming together to celebrate life, to be reminded that there is peace, there is joy, there is love and wisdom ever at hand. It is right here, it is right now, and it is us. And so knowing that this service is blessed, that each and every person who is participating in this service, whenever it takes place, is uplifted, is comforted. I just give thanks. And together we can say, and so it is. Amen.
One more time around the sun, what in the world has been undone? An opening for peace has come, and you and I must be the ones. It's our world. No more waiting, no more days, hiding in a fearful haze. The message came and it's agreed. We can be the ones we need. It's our world, our choice to speak now in one voice. It's our world. There are those who see a way to live into a brighter day, reaching out a hand in faith that others too will want to say, it's our world. And so we make the highest bid to drain the fuel, to be rid of enemies and make them friends, and bring the hatred to an end. It's our world. A dream alive around the world is here within our reach. Many voices join as one to live in harmony with our world, our choice, our dream, and our voice. We sing for peace, we speak for truth, we work for justice and the earth. We speak for all the ones who can't, and for the oceans and the land, the children and the sky above. But most of all, we sing for love, for our world. It's our choice, our dream, and our voice. It's our world, our choice, our dream, and our voice. It's our world. It's our world. It's our world.
Wow, the three of you, Catherine, Julie, and Jimmy, how amazing that I am sitting here holding back tears. That was incredible, incredible. Thank you so much. So our hearts are open, and let's just harmonize even more our hearts and our minds, touching our hearts with our hands and taking some deep breaths. Feels good. Yeah, it feels good to just take a breath. Just breathing in. And let's repeat together. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. So we are beginning a new month, November. It's hard to believe, my gosh, the months just fly by, but here we are, November 1st. And the theme for this month is living as compassionate conduits, if you're following along with the CSL Journal. And the topic today is the divine authority to choose. What a great topic. We forget that we have free will. We forget that we have this power to choose in our life. And now when I say choose, I'm talking about something very specific. We make choices every day. Yeah, we choose which flavor of ice cream we want, which Netflix series to binge on, which sweatpants to choose to wear when we're on a Zoom call. Yeah, whether or not we want to make our bed in the morning. We have these choices every day. But the one that I'm talking about is the power to choose love over fear. Now, you've heard me talk about this before. We've talked about choosing love over fear many times, both myself and Jenny and Barb, but it bears repeating, particularly now. We need to be reminded of this. And so that's what the focus of my talk is going to be today. A Course in Miracles says, perception can make whatever picture the mind desires to see. In this lies heaven or hell, as you elect. We create our heaven and hell, don't we? Now, these are loaded words because of the Christian influence. But in science of mind philosophy, we don't believe in heaven and hell, as though it's a place that we go to when we die. We don't believe that. We believe that instead they are states of consciousness. And we can choose which one we want to experience simply by changing our point of focus. If we continue to focus on what's not working, what's missing in our lives, what's causing us pain and anguish, what happens is that we continue to experience more of the very thing that we don't want, simply because we're focusing on it. And so hell is when we get stuck in that obsessive loop of thoughts that have convinced us that life is hard. I was just there yesterday. Yeah. And when it happens, it just spirals downwards, doesn't it? Hell is when we're focusing on those thoughts of hopelessness, the things that we think will never be different than they are right now in our world. Hell is when we are in fear and we can't see a way out. Hell is when we focus on our flaws and our mistakes. Hell is when all we can see and feel is the pain of the world. We've all experienced this. For some of you, you may be experience it right now as you hear these words. And I'm not judging that. We all get stuck there. We all get stuck there sometimes. But when we're stuck, we don't see that we have a choice. We don't see that heaven is actually possible if we're willing to change our perspective, if we're willing to change our thoughts. Gary Zukav said, "The power of choice is the greatest gift you have been given, second only to the gift of life itself." Isn't it wonderful to know that we have the power to choose? No one can take that from us. And one of the biggest choices that we are making right now in our country is the next president. I suspect that all of us are a little nervous thinking about the outcome. And we're either going to feel really excited or deeply disappointed, afraid, and maybe even angry, depending on who is chosen. I'm sure all of us have started to prepare ourselves emotionally for the outcome just in case it doesn't go our way. And in times like these, it's good to be reminded that everything is in divine right order. And given this, we can choose to trust that God's got this. Or we can go into a panic and think about all the possible negative scenarios that could happen if our candidate doesn't win. And when that happens, we spiral. We spiral. We spiral downwards into that dark place where we can't see what's possible. We can only see things falling apart. In the upcoming election, if the candidate we want doesn't win, well, we may need to go into that dark place for a while, feeling the sadness, feeling the grief and the deep disappointment and even fear. But at some point, we need to make a conscious choice to focus our attention on something else, because there is one mind. And that means that we are all connected. That what we focus on impacts the collective, it impacts all. As we focus on the consciousness of the planet shifting, as we send love to those dark places, as we hold the vision despite how things look, and we know that something is rising in the darkness, like a phoenix from the ashes, as we do this, our thoughts impact the thoughts of all, because we are all one. We are all connected. As we focus on what we desire for humanity, imagining all beings happy, free, and at peace, we are contributing to the collective consciousness of the planet. We are helping to shift the consciousness of the planet. Our thoughts contribute to the whole. And so when we focus on fear and on doubt and on hopelessness, that also impacts the collective. And so it's important that we become aware of our dominant thoughts. So think about right now the thoughts that you walk around with on a daily basis. Think about it. Are your thoughts based in fear, or are they based in love? As a country, are we holding a vision of a new beginning, or are we holding the vision of strife, discontent, and the possibility of civil war? as I've heard some talk about. In order to demonstrate something in our life, our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, said, we must have what's called a mental equivalent of the thing that we desire most. For example, if someone believes that they are a failure and that it is useless to try to be anything else, then they carry within them the mental equivalent of failure, and therefore they succeed in being a failure. They are getting back what they are sending out. When Ernest Holmes, basically what he is saying is that we have a choice. We have a choice as to what we choose to focus our attention on, what we choose to think, because our thoughts become our experiences. Now, don't think that every thought that you have creates your experience. I don't mean to imply that at all. But think about your predominant thoughts, the thoughts that you think about on a regular basis. Those are the ones that have the greatest impact. And so it's important to become aware of what those thoughts are. What do I focus on a daily basis? What are my thoughts? What are my predominant thoughts? Something to think about. We have a choice to experience heaven or hell. Heaven is when we can make a divine choice to focus on something that brings us joy. It's when we choose to focus on what we are grateful for in our life, to focus on the beauty that is around us, to focus on the love that pours out from our pets and our children and our family and our grandchildren. Heaven is that beautiful piece of music that transports us to another place and expands our heart. Heaven is walking in nature and hearing the rustle of the autumn leaves on the ground. Heaven is hugging someone we deeply love. Heaven is being a healing presence to someone in need. Heaven is having an insight about our life that shifts our consciousness and brings us peace. What is heaven to you? I want you to take a moment to reflect on what is heaven. If you're comfortable closing your eyes and bringing into your awareness what heaven feels like to you. What are the things in your life that bring joy to your heart? Who are the people, the animals in your life who make you smile? What are your favorite things to do that make your heart sing, that open your heart and fill you with love? What are the thoughts that bring you lightness of being? Allow yourself to feel this right now. Let it radiate through your being, flooding all of the places and spaces within you that need a little piece of heaven right now. And now allow this experience of heaven that you're feeling to go out, not just wash out all over you, but to wash over and surround those areas in your life that are causing you pain and anguish, fear, and doubt right now. Send this little piece of heaven out from your heart to those areas in your life and the people in your life who are struggling. Surround them with love. Surround our planet with love. And now see and feel the things and the people in your life slowly transformed. Feel that. Feel the energy of that. Feel the peace that is there, the love that is there. And now gently come back. Notice how you feel right now in your body. Just notice that. Notice the shift. Even if it's just a little shift, just notice it. The challenges and the pain in your life haven't disappeared, but for a moment you were able to shift your focus. You chose a different thought, and thus it impacted how you felt. Now, what if you did that every day? What if we did that every day? Especially during those moments when you feel that fear come up so strong in you, or when you feel a challenging or a heavy emotion come up, you can make the choice to stop for a few moments and take a breath and take yourself to that heavenly place. It's always there. It's always accessible, always available. And the more we do this, life becomes different. The lens through which we see life in the world looks different. Because our predominant thoughts have changed, our feelings have changed. And therefore, what shows up in our life also changes. And then when we begin to feel more at peace, isn't it wonderful? And so it's a practice, a daily commitment to ourselves. Viktor Frankl said, "We who lived in concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the huts, comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given circumstances, to choose one's own way." We are always a choice, but we forget that. We think that we don't have any power in the situations in our life. And at times like these, feeling powerless is something that I know all of us have felt at times. There are a lot of things we don't have control over in the world, but like Viktor Frankl said, our attitude is something that we have complete control over. It's our choice as to how we react to a particular situation. In 1959, Tibet was invaded by the new communist regime of China. The invasion resulted in the death of 1.2 million Tibetans. The Chinese dismantled thousands of monasteries, destroyed them, and destroyed the most sacred texts and historical documents, and imprisoned thousands of Tibetans. The Dalai Lama tells the story of a monk that he knew during this time by the name of Lapan La. Lapan La was put in prison by the Chinese, and he remained there for 18 years. This gentle monk remained in prison all that time. When he was finally free, he came to India to meet with the Dalai Lama, his friend. And when they saw each other again, Lapan La shared the story of what happened to him. He said that the Chinese forced him to denounce his religion. They tortured him daily. The Dalai Lama asked him whether he was ever afraid. And Lapan La said, yes, there was one thing I was afraid of. I was afraid that I may lose my compassion for the Chinese. Lapan La knew he could not escape. So better to accept reality than to be traumatized by it, he said. The Dalai Lama is convinced that Lapan La's power of forgiveness helped him survive all those years in prison without irreparable damage to his psyche. Feelings of helpless anger do nothing but poison the mind, embitter the heart, and enfeeble the will. It is also worth remembering that the time of greatest difficulty is the time of greatest gain in wisdom and strength, the Dalai Lama said. And so the choice is ours. That no matter what we are facing, no matter what pain we are experiencing, we always have a choice as to what we choose to focus on. Gary Zukav talks about choosing consciously versus unconsciously. And as we choose consciously, he says that we are on a vertical path. He refers to the path of the vertical path as a consciousness, a path of consciousness and conscious choice. When we are making choices that cultivate love, choices that align with the divinity that we are on that vertical path. When we choose to take the high road in a situation, we are on that vertical path. When we choose to take a few moments to tap into the love that is within us, rather than aligning with the stream of negative thoughts, we are on a vertical path. When we make conscious choices to advance our spiritual growth, we are on a vertical path. The horizontal path is the path that satisfies the personality and the ego. And when we choose the horizontal path, we let our mind take over, allowing us to spiral downwards. It's when we choose to stay in fear instead of love, we find ourselves on the horizontal path. The horizontal path is when we separate ourselves from the divine. Traveling the horizontal path keeps us from remembering the divinity that we are. It keeps us from knowing the truth of who we are, that we are love in form, that we are divine. The vertical path is about choosing love. It's about returning to the tools that are there to support us and help us through these hard times. Meditation, reading spiritual passages or books that inspire us, developing a gratitude practice, spending time in prayer daily, listening to a piece of music that brings us into our heart. The vertical path is about making a commitment to ourselves. It's about taking our heart in our hands and saying, I love you. I am here for you. And when we make choices such as these, we are being loving towards ourselves. We are taking care of ourselves, just the same way we would for someone we deeply love. And what a beautiful gift we can give ourselves right now. And so let's take care of ourselves in the coming weeks. If the election does not go the way we want it, we can always return to the vertical path. We can make a choice to cultivate love even more deeply within ourselves. We can make a choice to develop an even deeper and stronger relationship with Spirit. We can make a choice to choose love over fear. This is a choice that we must make every single day. And so repeat after me. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. I choose to know that I am one with the divine. I choose to know that I am never alone. I choose to know in this moment that I am divinely guided and supported in every area of my life. I choose to know that beneath any condition, beneath any hardship or challenge, in my life or in the world, lies the beauty and grace of God's love. I choose to know that the essence of my being is pure peace and pure joy, because I am one with Spirit, and therefore it cannot be any other way. I choose right here, right now, to know this truth and to embody this truth at the deepest core and center of my very being. Breathing that in and moving into prayer. And so I am knowing right here in this moment that that divine essence of God, that beauty and grace and love and joy that is Spirit, I am knowing that that beautiful energy floods our entire being and radiates through every cell. That as we breathe, God breathes with us. With each step we take, God steps with us. God is right with us, surrounding us and holding us through this time. I am knowing that whatever challenge that we are facing, whatever challenge, whether globally, across the world, within our communities, within our families, within ourselves, I am knowing that whatever challenge is there, I am knowing that love is there. I am am knowing that precious, beautiful, divine essence of God is right there with each one of us, surrounding us and holding us and reminding us that we have the ability to choose love, reminding us that we can in any moment choose love, that we can choose that love that is always there, vibrating through each one of us. We have that power. We have that choice. And so I am knowing that we are held in that knowing and in that truth. We are guided, we are supported, we are lifted up. I am knowing that we are reminded of all the tools that we have in our toolkit to support us right now, to help us remember and to stay on that vertical path. And so with that, I give such thanks for this remembering, for this truth, for this reminder that we have this power to choose love over fear. And so with that, I let this go and I allow it to be. I hand this over to the divine law that always says yes. And so taking a deep breath, we feel that. We feel the vibration of that. And we ground it in together by saying, and so it is. Amen.